Hi, this video discusses the US customary system of measurement for length. So it starts with the smallest unit of measurement to the largest, which is miles. The smallest would be inches, the largest would be miles. So we describe distances in miles if the distances are longer, and if the distances are shorter or very, very small distances, then it's best to write it in terms of inches. But we can use the scientific notation and write shorter distances in miles and longer distances in inches, which is also feasible. So the common measurement is 1 foot, which is 12 inches, and 3 feet would be 1 yard, and 1760 yards would be equal to 1 mile, and 5280 feet would be equal to 1 mile also. Let's make a connection between these two. We know (1760) yards is equal to 1 mile, but we also know 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So I can write 1760 yards as 1760 1 yards equals 1 mile. Then I could replace the yards by the 3 feet. I'd have 1760 times 3 feet would be equal to 1 mile, which would give me 5,280 feet equals 1 mile. Let's do a short example on conversion. Let's say we want to write 13 feet in inches. So we know 1 foot is 12 inches. This would mean you multiply by 13 on both sides. 13, now it becomes plural. Feet would be equal to 13 times 12 inches. This would imply 13 feet would be equal to 156 inches. Let's write 156 inches in yards. We know 3 feet is 1 yard. We could replace a feet by 12 inches. Therefore, what we'll have is 36 inches would be equal to 1 yard. Now I'd like to write 156 inches. So in terms of yards, the first thing to do is divide both sides by 36. Then I'll get 36 over 36 inches equals 1 over 36 yards. So this would mean 1 inch would be equal to 1/36 of a yard. This would also mean, by multiplying both sides by 156 inches, I'll get 156 over 36 yards, which is nothing but, well, get simplified, that would be 78 over 18 yards, which is also 39 over 9 yards, which is approximately 4.3 yards. So this sign right there implies an approximately or approximately equal to sign. Let's do one more conversion problem. Let's convert or write 7 miles in terms of yards. So since we move from inches to feet to yards to miles, if I have to convert miles to yards, first I have to go backwards. Miles to yards. We know 1 mile is equal to 1760 yards. This would mean 7 miles would be equal to 7 times 1760 yards, which would mean we'll have 1760 times 7, which is 0, 2, 3, and 12 yards. And that's what we'd have. Suppose we want to convert, right, 60 yards in terms of miles. So we have to go from yards to miles, forward direction. So we know that 1 mile is 1760 yards. This would imply 1 yard equals 1 over 1760 of a mile, which would imply 60 yards would be equal to 60 over 1760 of a mile. We are multiplying both sides by 60. That would give us 3 over, I believe it is 88 of a mile. So, as a general rule of thumb, if we go from miles to yards, from a bigger unit of measurement to a smaller unit of measurement, it would usually involve a direct multiplication, such as this: 7 miles equals 7 times 1760 yards. You could use it directly from the formula that we wrote at the beginning of this video. But if you go in the forward direction, you're going from a smaller to a bigger unit of measurement, then first you've got to divide and write the bigger unit in terms of the smaller unit in terms of the bigger unit, and then multiply. So I could summarize this in this manner. Let's see, we're going from inch to feet to yards to miles. Now, these are backward calculations, but for forward calculations we will have to use this. 1 inch would be equal to 1 over 12 of a foot. That will convert inch to feet. To convert feet to yard, we know 1 yard is 3 feet. This would imply 1 foot is 1/3 of a yard. then you can multiply by whatever number you have to move from feet to yard. Go from from yards to miles. We know that 1 mile is equal to 1760 yards. This would imply 1 yard is equal to 1 over 1760 of a mile. So if you're going in the forward direction, you will encounter these formulas. But if you're going in the backward direction, such as this, if you want to convert miles to yards, 1 mile is equal 1 mile is equal to 1760 yards. So you could directly multiply by whatever amount you need. Say 10 miles would then be equal to 17,600 yards, and so forth. If you want to convert yards to feet, we know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet, therefore 10 yards would be equal to 30 feet. If you want to go from feet to inches, we know 1 foot is 12 inches, therefore 10 feet would be equal to 120 inches. As you can see, here it's a direct multiplication. So if we categorize it into these two types, sometimes it's actually quite easy to convert from one measurement of length to another measurement of length. I hope you understood the US customary system for the measurement of length. Thank you for watching this video.